The title of this video essay is The 5 Worst Places for Biracials in LA. Now, as we all know, California is the passive-aggressive capital of America. So I'm not talking about outright hostility. I'm not talking about people trying to attack you on the streets. I'm talking subtle vibes you get as a mixed-race person in certain parts of LA, which make it somewhat uncomfortable being there. Now, I'm a mixed-race person. I've lived in LA for quite a while, so I consider myself something of an authority on this subject. Now, the first place I consider would be the San Fernando Valley. Now, San Fernando Valley is north of Hollywood, and over the years it's seen a significant influx of Hispanics. But back in the day, the San Fernando Valley was renowned for being a hotbed of white supremacy. There were a lot of white supremacist gangs running around back in the day. And even though it's no longer the case nowadays, you still get that vibe, that lingering vibe as a mixed-race person when you're down in the valley. The second place I like to consider would be Leimert Park and Baldwin Hills. Now, these are predominantly black neighborhoods, and there are some mixed-race people who live there. However, as a mixed-race person and being an outsider, you definitely catch a lot of heat from black people, especially hate and jealousy and what have you. And that's undoubtedly the case. I dare anyone to prove me wrong. Another place I like to consider on this list of inhospitable places for mixed race people would be East LA. Now, East LA is predominantly Hispanic, but it has a history of gang violence and gang culture. And at one point, there were quite a lot of clashes between blacks and Hispanics. There was a lot of civil unrest at one point, and that's no longer the case, at least in most parts of East LA today. However, as a mixed-race person, you can feel sometimes as though you're about to get caught up in a crossfire. Now, another place I'd consider on the list would be Santa Monica. Now, people in Santa Monica consider themselves liberal, progressive, what have you, and it's considered to be a bastion of these values. However, Santa Monica is quite wealthy and affluent, and most rich people look down on other people, and sometimes they look down on you just because you're biracial. It's a fact of life. Finally, Hollywood. Now, if you're not biracial and you despise Hollywood, you're not alone. I'll leave it there.